Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Jack Richards, who is President and CEO of Pleasant Holidays. And I know many of you know Jack from what used to be industry conferences. I don't know what that is anymore. And we're going to talk a little bit about what Pleasant Holidays is doing today. And they have their sister company, Journeys. Obviously, they're known as a huge Hawaii, Mexico, Europe, et cetera, Caribbean specialist of wholesale packages. It's a great company, and I know many of you work with them. So you're going to find out all about what Pleasant Holidays is doing to meet the crisis and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, Jack, first of all, the question is, what has Pleasant Holidays and Journeys been doing to deal with this crisis? Have you had to make cuts, I guess, with staff, services, if any?
Yeah, I think well, good morning, James from California. So yeah, it's a really interesting story. So we entered 2020 with a record number of bookings, and up until February, and then in late February, all of a sudden the travel industry just stopped. And then it spread into March and April and went over. And so for the period of March, April, and May, we had 25,000 bookings that were impacted by the changes and cancellations, almost 62,000 travelers that were impacted by this. So we went to work very, very quickly. We had an unprecedented number of cancellations, itinerary changes, flight reticketings, and you name it. And then we closed our office on March 20th, both in California and Hawaii. So we sent 450 people home. That was okay because we had planned for this being in California for earthquakes. So we had a business continuity plan all ready to go. So that was a fairly seamless process. And then on March 28th, Hawaii became the first state to implement a 14-day mandatory quarantine. So that essentially closed tourism to Hawaii on March 26th. But we had moved very, very quickly to reduce our operating costs across the board, everything. From day one. We did this in late February because we felt it was coming. So we gradually ramped up, and we have done a majority of initiatives to reduce our operating costs and kind of hunker down until this passes. So we were in pretty good shape, and we hit it early. We redeployed all of our reservation sales agents from sales into customer service. And that was very important for us just to handle the volume. We would see call volume, chat messages, and emails up 1,000% a day. So, wow. Yeah, we're dealing with it on a day-by-day basis, and it just keeps rolling forward.
Well, I mean, some of your clients might have wanted to quarantine at a luxury resort in Hawaii for 14 days, I guess, right?
Oh, sure.
That'd be a great booking, right?
Yeah. We had one couple that was sheltering in place in either Fiji or the Cook Islands and can't get back for 30 days, and they're doing quite well.
Yeah, well, 30 days in the Fiji or Cook Islands, I can take that right now. Absolutely. So you were working on obviously rebookings and cancellations and refunds in some cases, I assume.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So has that process largely been completed now?
No, it hasn't, because of the sheer volume that we had. First of all, we worked everything in date order. So if you were departing in March, we work those bookings first. So we'll work March, April, May, and now we're working through June. So there's literally thousands of bookings that we are changing, canceling, shifting into 2020 and 2021. Some of those won't be done. As long as this continues to roll forward, we'll continue to work on them in date and departure order.
Yeah. Do you have currently a target date? Although obviously that's subject to change when you'll restart operations to some destinations at least.
We are targeting, we have been tracking these with our partners, with our hotel partners, airline partners, and others. And we feel most will be open in early June, mid-June, or early July. So we're looking at a June restart date. For example, the quarantine in Hawaii expires May 31st. It has not been extended at this point. And Hawaii had very few COVID-19 cases. About 635 and very few deaths. So they began reopening some retail shops this week, and they're going to open malls. So that's a very encouraging sign. So we're planning on a June opening date for most destinations, with the exception of Europe and Asia and South America.
Now, what do you think will come back strongest after we emerge from this crisis? I know obviously Hawaii is your top seller, and as you said, if it's a place where COVID-19 is not prevalent, a lot of people might want to go there. Let's just hope that doesn't make it. I assume they're going to be checking and doing checks at the air on flights and all that. But what destinations do you think are going to come back quickest?
Well, for us, it's all dependent upon the flight capacity, the hotels reopening, the car rental companies, the cruise lines, and so on and so forth. And they're going to have to demonstrate to the travelers that they can consistently provide safety and protection from the risk of infection going forward. So we're working with our partners to get detailed cleaning and sanitization protocols. And assuming that happens, our model, our forecast says the domestic market will be the first to recover, and that does include Hawaii. So we're looking at a domestic travel market recovery. We saw some data from Smith Travel Research on the cities that reopened throughout the United States last week, and there was a fairly significant spike in hotel occupancy for the weekend. It went up in some cases to 60%, which was a good sign that the domestic market is very resilient and probably will recover first.
No, absolutely. That seems to be the case. And we hear talk that parts of Mexico will open up very quickly in June as well. I know in the Riviera Maya, in that area, they are projecting June dates as well.
Correct. Well, what's really strong for us right now, surprisingly, is the Caribbean. So the Caribbean has remained strongest of all the destinations. And depending upon where you go, I read this morning Aruba is going to reopen. So they're slowly reopening up country by country. I think that's a very, very positive sign for the industry.
Well, I do know that certain Caribbean islands are some of the first to just close their borders and not accept flights and everything else. And so they have limited the infection, but clearly they also don't have the facilities to meet the infection if it does get there. So I know they're being very cautious about that.
Yeah, correct. And one of the things we're working on, James, is we believe people on the domestic market will either hop in their car or fly, whatever they're going to do, but they're probably going to go to smaller, less densely populated areas. So we have added about 100 hotels over the last 60 days in the smaller markets. For example, like Key West, Florida, Napa, Sonoma, Lake Tahoe, Santa Barbara, Niagara Falls, Charleston, in anticipation of these people wanting to go to these smaller cities to stay away from mass gatherings and crowds. So we think that's what's going to happen.
Well, being right now down in Florida, and I've talked to some of my hotel friends in Key West, and that's probably where I'll head first, because I got about 5 hotels down there that I can take a look at, and it's only a few hours away. So I agree with you there. Now, how has business been for bookings both later this fall into 2021 and even 2022, if you're already have those available now?
Yeah, we do. Well, it's really interesting because we've, as I indicated, we entered 2020 with a record bookings on the books for 20 and 21. We had a very good first quarter, and then the world stopped in late March. And so virtually for the latter half of March, April, and May, there's been no business at all. It's almost zero. But then we saw a pickup in May. So over the last 3 weeks, we've seen new bookings come in for travel in June onward. And then we're tracking 2021 currently up 15% year over year. We believe that's a mixture of new bookings and then the shift from cancellations from 2020 moving into 2021. But we feel very good that business is beginning to pick up, albeit very slowly, very gradually. But we are seeing over the last 3 weeks new bookings start to emerge, and they're coming in. So we're very, very positive about that.
Well, that's really good news. And I know everybody is eager to get back. A lot of travelers are. Some will be a little more hesitant. But now, how are you working with travel advisors today to sort of help them to get through this crisis and get them ready to book as we emerge from this?
Well, our strategy has been to really engage with them constantly. So we've engaged with them throughout this process at different communications venues that we have used. We've also, in late February, we launched a new educational and training platform called Pleasant Pro Academy. And we have been promoting that during the crisis. There's a hunger for training during this time. So we've had over 2,100 travel advisors become certified Pleasant Holidays and Journeys specialists over this process. And we have 535 who are currently in the process of becoming certified. And one interesting note is that we have been contacted by a lot of cruise only and cruise focused agencies who now want to expand their business into the FIT and land business with Pleasant. So there's a lot of cruise only and cruise focused travel advisors that are taking our certification courses to get certified on the land products. And we show them how to maximize their commission. They get exclusive benefits such as access to fan trips and only. And they really learn a lot about Pleasant Journeys and our 4 brands that we offer. And I think most of them are kind of amazed that they thought we did Hawaii only. And because we were originally called Pleasant Hawaiian Holidays, and they didn't know we offered Asia, Europe, South America, Caribbean, Mexico, Tahiti, and all over. So it's been a very, very good experience. We've also done a ton of webinars, and our attendance at these webinars have been very, very good. So our strategy has been to constantly engage with the advisors, keep them informed, up to date on what's going on.
No, that's amazing. The totals you mentioned for your new training platform, new training program are, you wouldn't get that during a normal period, I don't think, even
Right.
if we're really heavily promoting it, just because travel advisors are so busy all the time. And they do now have time to do the training. And that's been our take as well, that people are spending this time to get educated about new things, new products. And clearly you've benefited from, as you said, all those cruise only travel advisors who are suddenly saying, yeah, maybe I better get into land, right?
Well, I think this was a wake-up call, and it was very similar to what happened when I arrived at Pleasant Holidays back in 2007. A majority of our business, I think almost 90% of the business was in Hawaii, and that was a red flag for me because if something happened to Hawaii, that would hurt the company. So we began a diversification strategy back in 2008, and now we continue to expand globally. We just had our product director return from Tokyo, Japan, and she has been finishing off Singapore, Hong Kong, China, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and others. So she's coming back to the United States to do that. So it's been I think if you're a cruise-only travel advisor right now, you would be well advised to expand your product line.
No, and that's great news for them and for you. Now, do you have any other messages for our 100,000 plus travel advisor subscribers out there as to what Pleasant is doing today and what it will do in the future? And also, what advice do you have for them?
Well, I think they need to pick a company that's going to be here today during the crisis and after the crisis. And we certainly fit that mold. We've been here for 60 years. We're going to be here for 60 more years. And our company, throughout this entire process, has tried to focus in on very high-quality customer service to the travel advisors. We're not a company that's focused on the lowest price. It's very difficult to provide high-quality service to travel advisors and the lowest price. And I think for all the advisors, we're one-stop shopping. We offer 17 different cruise lines, for example. And that is a case where if you go through Pleasant Pro Academy, you'll find out that we're one of the largest sellers of U.S. river cruises. And that market is doing exceptionally well, not only in the latter half of 2020, but in 2021, including, cruises on the Great Lakes, the Mississippi, Pacific Northwest, and New England. And then, we've been voted best tour operator of Hawaii by the travel industry for 15 consecutive years. So if you're going to go to Hawaii, we're the one you should pick. And they should visit us at pleasantagent.com and look at our portfolio, and we'd like to open a relationship with them.
Sounds good, Jack. It's great to see you. I usually enjoy seeing you at different conferences around. Hopefully that will happen later this year. We'll see how it goes. And it's great to hear all the good news from Pleasant at this stage in the game. And let's just hope that everything starts to get back in June, as you suggest, and then gets stronger as we enter go for the rest of the year and into 2021. Again, thank you very much for spending some time with us and letting our advisors know what's going on.
Thank you, James. It's a pleasure.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.